Welcome back to Planet Earth, our loving home, where we have been speaking with Professor Peter Barrett of Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand about the melting Antarctic ice sheets. The melting of the polar ice caps is exacerbated by a feedback mechanism known as the albedo flip, whereby human-induced global warming heats the atmosphere and ocean, thus melting the ice sheets. As ice acts like a mirror and reflects some of the sun's rays back out to space, the increased ice melt allows more of the sun's energy to enter the ocean, thus further warming the water and causing an increase in the melting of the ice. This situation is made worse by the subsequent release of methane and other global warming gases from the Earth's frozen permafrost. Professor Barrett explains more about this imminent danger.
There is another risk with methane, and that is the fact that billions of tons are stored in the solid form beneath the oceans, and in a warming world these could be released. And at the moment in the Arctic, methane is bubbling away. It's been observed in the last year. The melting of permafrost releases more methane, and nobody knows just when some sort of point will be reached when there will be a cataclysmic dissociation, discharge of methane. This is a very good reason to keep global temperatures as low as possible.
In such critical times, the world needs sound solutions and immediate actions, both at the individual and governmental levels. Professor Barrett explains.
I just see a very obvious moral obligation. You can make it more personal by the notion of a personal carbon footprint. In my country, our carbon footprint is about 4 tons of carbon per year per person. This is large. In countries like India or China, it's much less than 1 ton. Even though the emissions might be large, the individual footprint is small. So, because the core problem is carbon dioxide in particular, it's a gas that is very long-lived. And so I see it as our responsibility to reduce and eliminate carbon dioxide emissions so that the Earth can have its balance restored.
What do you see as the important actions that need to be taken from a leadership level?
Oh, to me, the most important thing is to acknowledge the problem and to advocate ways of dealing with it at every level. And to me, the outstanding example of this is Barack Obama, with a very clear statement in which I would love to be able to quote completely, but to me it was quite a relief and quite inspirational that he was essentially saying that the science is understood, the problem is great, it can no longer be denied, we must act now.
And what changes would you encourage on an individual level to reduce climate change?
Well, there are many, and I actually think individual action is just as important as governmental action. And the reason is that I think we personally need to feel both positive and challenged, and to feel that we are making the biggest difference we can. And so the sort of actions, I think, in terms of our thinking, to live simply, to just to think about what we do, and to really use as little energy as possible.
According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization report entitled Livestock's Long Shadow, the livestock industry is responsible for producing more greenhouse gas emissions than all the transport in the world combined, including cars, planes and ships. Nobel laureate and chairman of the International Panel on Climate Change, Dr. Rajendra Pachauri, has also stated that one of the most effective ways to reduce our carbon footprint is to stop the consumption of meat. In fact, according to a study by Drs. Gideon Eschel and Pamela Martin, assistant professors of geophysics at the University of Chicago, USA, The carbon footprint of a meat-based diet is 1.5 tonnes heavier than that of a plant-based diet per person per year. We asked Professor Barrett for his views on the benefits of a vegetarian diet with regard to climate change.
Well, I can see the benefits of the vegetarian diet very clearly. I have reduced my meat intake quite significantly, and I'll continue to do so. I think move in that direction towards a vegetarian diet is really a very important part of the changes that we need to make.
Named Wellingtonian of the Year in 2006, Professor Barrett concluded the interview with some words of encouragement and hope for the planet and its inhabitants.
I think there are sort of quite a few examples around the world in our history where there have been positive changes. I'm quite sure that this is what we will get to eventually. The only question is how much damage do we have to suffer in the process? And this is why urgency is important. The next few years are important. Jim Hansen, I think, has been outstanding in the way that he makes this clear. And his goal of 350 parts per million, I think we must really simply acknowledge and aim for. Now, we have exceeded that, but the challenge is for a mix of our technology and a changed way of life to reduce CO2 levels down to 350 ppm and try to really get us out of the danger zone.
With both the Arctic and Antarctic ice caps melting, urgent action is needed to reduce carbon, methane and other greenhouse gas emissions to restore balance to our beautiful planet. The simplest and quickest way to stop global warming that everyone can do easily and immediately is to adopt a plant-based vegan diet, which also happens to be exceptionally good for one's health. To close our program, we would like to extend our gratitude to Professor Peter Barrett for his wise words and precious time. Caring viewers, we would like to sincerely thank you for your noble company today on planet Earth, our loving home. Coming up next is enlightening entertainment after noteworthy news here on Supreme Master Television. May we all make eco-friendly choices to quickly enter a greener and more compassionate era.